Hey guys, Sak here from Saki Tech, and in today's video what we're going to do is we are going to be comparing the Samsung Galaxy Fold 3 versus the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. Now both of these phones are flagship offerings from Samsung. This is going to be a regular form factor and that's going to be a foldable smartphone. So with the Fold 3 you are getting two displays. You're getting an inner display, and of course when you unfold it you get this large display that could make this phone be used as a tablet. So the questions I'm getting are twofold. So first question is, if I have the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, which is a great phone, do I upgrade to the Samsung Galaxy Fold 3? Or if I'm in the market to buy one of these guys, which one do I choose? So in this video, we are going to be looking at every aspect of these smartphones: the build, the design, cameras, performance, the S Pen functionality, and more. And by the end of the video, we are going to give you a precise conclusion so you know exactly what to do. Now in this video, first what I want to look at is everything that is the same or almost the same. And then in the next phase, we'll look at everything that is different, and then we'll do a conclusion. So let's start with what is exactly the same. There is a lot of similarities. So first I want to talk about the actual build quality. So when it comes to the build quality, these smartphones are rock solid. Both of these smartphones have Gorilla Glass 7 on the front displays, on the outer display here. On the rear, you have Gorilla Glass 7, and then over here, you have Gorilla Glass 7. So we have a rock solid build quality. In fact, the slight difference with this one is the aluminum band around the edges and the hinge is slightly tougher, 10% tougher than what you get on this guy. But overall, on the exterior, we have the exact same build quality. So in that respect, there's not a huge difference. The only portion to be concerned about is the inner display, which is not Gorilla Glass 7, ultra thin glass, and that's why it is bendable. I can do this to this phone and I'm not scared to do it because I know it's Gorilla Glass 7. I will not do the same thing to this phone. So that's something you want to be aware of when it comes to the build quality. But it is essential to understand, to have a foldable display, that has to be that way. We cannot have Gorilla Glass 7 that bends. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about has to do with the display refresh rate and the quality. All the same. These are stunning displays, in and out, super bright. Same on this one. Additionally, when I go to my settings, we have a huge upgrade on the Fold 3 this year over the Fold 2. The refresh rate is 120 Hz on the inside and the outside display. So 120 Hz everywhere. And of course, we have the same situation on this one. You go to display, go to motion smoothness, you got the same exact menu, refresh rate. So we have high quality screens, great refresh rate. The only difference we are going to talk about in the differences section is obviously the size, and how that size could be a benefit for some people, and for some people how this is going to be a better form factor. The next thing I want to talk about has to do with the S Pen functionality. So as far as functionality is concerned, both of these phones have the exact same S Pen functionality. Okay, so we have the Air Command menu over here, and we have the same Air Command menu right over here. It does the same exact thing. All right, I can tap to create a note, start taking notes on the go or whatever, and I can do the same thing with this one. Create a note, all right, and start writing as if I was writing on a piece of paper. And of course, I can resize this, so that's not a problem. As you can see. And I do want to emphasize that actual note-taking experience is the same on both of these smartphones. It's very pleasurable. The only benefit of the Fold 3 in this instance is the larger screen and more real estate to work with. The only thing that you want to keep in mind is, if you buy this phone, you want to make sure that you buy a special S Pen, which is also known as the Fold Edition, or if you buy the S Pen Pro, which you can buy for either one of these phones, you still want to make sure that the S Pen Pro is compatible with the Fold. Because this display, as we talked about, is less durable, they have to make a special tip. So when you press too hard, it goes inside, retracts, so it doesn't damage the screen. With this S Pen right here, it doesn't need that option because we have Gorilla Glass 7. But this S Pen cannot be used here. It might damage the screen. That's the only difference with the S Pen, but when it comes to functionality, it is all the same. Same software features with the S Pen. So if I go to my settings, okay, on both of these phones, we have the same S Pen features. So let's go down here, advanced features, S Pen, S Pen. It's all the exact same functionality. As you can see, if you want to use Air Actions on any one of these phones, you have to buy the S Pen Pro. S Pen Pro has built-in Bluetooth functionality that allows you to use the S Pen as a remote control to control your devices. But that's the S Pen Pro. These are just the regular S Pens. That's the Fold Edition. That's the S Pen for the S21 Ultra. But like I said, same functionality, so nothing to worry about there. The only difference, there's a larger screen here to work with if you're sketching and drawing and taking note. Now, one more thing that's the same on both of these phones is water resistance. They have the same water resistance rating. However, the big difference, I'm going to cover this right here, is the S21 Ultra also has dust resistance. So this one is IP68. The 6 stands for dust resistance. The 8 stands for water resistance. This one is IPX8. So the X means 0, no resistance to dust, but 8 means water resistance. Same as these guys. They can both be submerged into water, no damage. But if you go to the beach and dump these phones on the sand, sand particles might get into some of the parts of this phone and damage it, so you don't want to do that. This one has full dust and water resistance. The next thing I want to talk about has to do with performance. Both of these phones have the exact same performance. They have the same Snapdragon 888 processor. This one has 12 gigabytes of RAM. This one also has 12 gigabytes, but also has the option to be acquired in 16 gigabytes of RAM. When you play games, when you are using heavy-duty applications, the performance is exactly the same. And even when you run benchmarks on them, it's the same numbers that you get. So both of these phones are top-level performers, no problem. And that's basically everything that is the same between these two smartphones, or almost the same with slight variations. Now we are going to move on and talk about what is actually different. So let's dive in and start with the biggest difference. The cameras, they're vastly different. So over here, what we have is we have a triple camera system. We have a wide-angle lens, we have an ultra-wide, and we have a telephoto lens only capable of 2 times optical zoom. All lenses are 12 megapixels each. Over here on the S21, we have a far more complex system. So what we have is we have a main 108 megapixel camera. Then we have a 12 megapixel ultra-wide, and then we have 2 telephoto cameras. And we are able to get 10 times optical zoom and 100 times digital zoom. With this one, we only get 10 times digital zoom. Now, when you are in bright daylight and you take regular photos, both cameras are going to produce great photos. When you try to zoom into faraway subjects, the S21 Ultra is going to have the clear benefit of crystal clear 10 times optical zoom photos, while the Fold 3 can only go 2 times optical. And if you really want to zoom in and get up close and personal, like I said, you can go 100 times digital zoom with the S21 Ultra, and the Fold 3 can only dream about that option. You can see the samples in the background as I put them side by side. The video quality, again, it's going to be better on the S21 Ultra. But again, if you just are an average consumer, you're going to be fine with the Fold 3, no problem. One thing with the S21 Ultra is it has 8K recording capability, while the Fold 3 can only go up to 4K at 60, which I think is fine for most people. The selfie cameras, the main selfie cameras on the outside for both phones are fantastic, get the job done. The selfie camera on the Fold 3 on the inside, which is hidden under the display, is only 4 megapixel. It's a poor camera. Some people like to do video conferencing and it's there, but it's going to be low quality. But because it has that outer selfie camera, that should not be a big problem. So to be clear, when it comes to camera, the S21 Ultra has the better camera system with more extreme options. The absolute quality of that 108 megapixel sensor is going to be better than the 12 megapixel on the Fold 3. So if camera is a big deal, this is a very important category to consider. You got flagship cameras on the S21 Ultra. With this one, you have the same cameras you get on the S21, not the Ultra, the regular S21, which has downgraded cameras. The next thing I want to talk about has to do with design and dimension. So obviously design is vastly different. This is a foldable smartphone. It's easy to handle with one hand when it is folded like this, but it is going to be obviously quite thick, okay? And that's because it unfolds and becomes a tablet. But using this phone with one hand, it's very easy when you have it in this format. Now this guy is just a standard smartphone format. It's not too small, it's not too big, it's hard to use this with one hand, but a lot of people, this is what they are used to. And of course, it's going to be thin, as you can see, much thinner than the Fold 3. That's almost double the size as far as thickness is concerned. It's going to be heavier. Additionally, when it's unfolded, it's just a whole different beast. It's not a phone anymore, it's a semi-tablet. It's a small tablet. So definitely you're going to need two hands to operate this thing when it's unfolded, and that's the point. The point is, I got an outer display here to do my basic tasks. Phone calls, text messages, do some browsing, but anytime you want to watch a movie, maybe read a book or an article, you want to be involved, you're going to take your time, you're going to unfold this guy and enjoy the full glory of that large screen. If it was just like this, obviously it would never be a phone. It would be ridiculous, but the fact that it folds up and has the capability to give you both options makes this a very desirable form factor. But it's not perfect. The phone is actually narrow, the base phone, and the tablet version is not that big. This one, as a smartphone, is the perfect size. So again, you make a decision on whether or not you can handle this or not. Some people simply get addicted to it. Some people have to go back to a regular form factor. Now let's move on and talk about the software. The software on both of these phones, exactly the same. We do have some minor extras on the Fold 3 because this one has One UI 3.1.1. This one has One UI 3.1. So for example, if I go into my battery and device care, under battery at the bottom, we have some additional options such as protect battery option. On this one, we don't have it. I might come to this with a future software update, but there are some slight variations in software like that. And then with the Fold 3, we have this docking station on the side where it can dock my applications. And that's mostly designed for multitasking. So if I have multiple applications, I can easily start multitasking processes just like this. Even have 3 apps, as you can see. Can have 2 apps over here, can have 3 apps over here. But with the dock, it just makes things easy. And of course, that makes sense because we have a larger screen and more room to play with. Can't have that one over here. But beyond that, when it comes to customization, speed, performance, the software is in fact exactly the same. Now, another big difference is the biometrics option. So with the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, we have a slightly more advanced technology. We have an under-display fingerprint sensor that is completely hidden. And over here, we have an under-display camera that is partially hidden. But when it comes to biometrics, I love in-display fingerprint sensors more than anything else. With the Samsung Galaxy Fold, we have a fingerprint sensor right here. It's built into the power button on the side. It works flawlessly, there's no question about that. But the technological appeal goes to the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, but that same appeal also exists here because this is a foldable phone, which is pretty incredible. But I do like the fingerprint sensor on this one better. I think it's a more advanced technology. And the next thing I want to talk about is the battery. So this one has a larger battery. This one has a smaller battery. The battery life on this guy is going to be better, especially if you're using this display most of the time. The bigger the display, the more battery that phone eats. Now, we're assuming people are going to be using this display some of the time for basic tasks, And anytime you got to do something big, like watch a movie or something, you go to this display, you transfer over to this guy. So maybe overall they might be the same, but I've been using these phones for a couple days at the same time, and for sure the larger battery here is lasting more. So larger battery, longer battery life. Another big difference obviously is the price. $1,800 and $1,200. I will drop links to both of these guys below to the best prices. When you do buy this today, you are getting some great deals that kind of make sense if you're doing a trade-in, and also you're getting a lot of freebies, but they also have some rock solid deals on this one that drops the price. But the bottom line, $1,800, $1,200, there's a $600 difference. So let's move on, put everything together and talk about a conclusion. All right, so if you are in the market trying to decide to upgrade from the S21 Ultra to the Fold 3, you probably shouldn't upgrade. The reason is because even though you're getting this super cool device that is able to fold, in the transition from the S21 to the Fold, you're doing some downgrades. The camera, like I said, on the S21 Ultra is better, so that'll be a downgrade. The other thing, the overall durability of the S21 Ultra is also better. Like I said, the screen is rock solid. I can just tap it just like this, no damage. This one is more prone to damage, at least the inside display. On the outside, it's all the same. But that, I think, is an overall downgrade. But regardless of the downgrades, if you truly want this form factor, if this is what you've been dreaming about, then you should upgrade. But I think for most people, you do not need to upgrade because this is a real flagship smartphone with minimum compromises. On this side, you get some compromises, but also you get great technology. Now, what if you're in the market to buy one of these guys? You want to buy this or this? In that case, you have a little more room to play. Because you never experienced the flagship cameras on this phone, you won't feel the loss as you buy this over this. You're still going to get great cameras, they're still not going to be as good. So if you're in the market and you're brand new, you simply have to look at the form factor, the price. So if you have the money, you go with this one. If you want to save money, you go with this one. If you don't think you can handle a large phone like this, a thicker phone, then you don't get this one. If you want a usual form factor, if that's what you're used to, then you get this one. Do you want something that's easily pocketable or something that's a little bit thick in the pocket? So if you're in the market and trying to decide between the two, you simply go with the one that really appeals to you. But if you're in the market to upgrade from the S21 to the Fold 3, most people don't have to upgrade. And that is the conclusion. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them down below. Let me know. For now, guys, have a fantastic day, all right?